Hi, it's Tom here from FDS, and today we're looking at the Jungle Mag system from BSUK. Now, everybody likes a good Jungle Mag, or Fast Mag, as some gamers seem to call them, from COD. What we've got here is a 3D printed plate in the middle, and it's got some slots and some strapping, and here you can see one fitted up. It's designed to work with two, so it's wobbly because there's only one on. So as you can see, it straps the two magazines together. Now, why do something like this when you can just have a piece of Lego and some tape, some E-tape or something suitably disgusting? Well, I like to take my mags and put them in pouches most of the time. And this Fast Mag is kind of a specific solution for some of my indoor games where there's times when I'm just going to run a light rig and I'm going to be marshalling, or I'm not going to be playing the whole game, or I just don't want to be carrying too many darts because some of my gear can tip the balance of the game quite substantially. So I tend to try and play for fun more than playing for a high score. And these are quite good because, I mean, you can top them off as you go. So I decided I'd have a look at this because I was getting an order from them anyway. So I will fit the second one, and then I'll run you through what I think is good and bad and needs tweaking about these. There are a couple of things about them that I've noticed, and obviously I haven't play tested these yet, and I'll tell you what they're like once they've been through the game. Okay, so there is the BSUK mag kit fitted, and that's both loops. You're meant to put both on, you can't just have one. And the spacers. And as you can see, if I use my stripe here, that it will go in, like that, into the mag well. And then you can top off the outside one whilst you're playing. Now this has a distinct advantage over the modulus flip kit style end-to-end Jungle Mag. First of all, it's half the length. So as you can see, if we put it that way, it's no longer than a standard 18. It's not as wide and as bulky as a box magazine type setup that you've got with the drums. And then when you want to reload, you can just do that. And then you've got your next 18. And you can go back again. And obviously, one side's always open and you can just top off your mag as you go. So there you have it, that's how it fits. And you can see that it's quite a snug fit down there against the side of the blaster. It may not look terribly strong, but I can assure you that it is very hard to shake this free. Just waggling it around, and they don't move. There you go, there's some stress testing for those people that like it. And you can hear the follower is moving, but the magazine isn't moving. I mean, you can slide them out. If you want to slide them out in a hurry, you can. But they're not going to drop out in games. They've got sufficient friction in there. Now this gets us to a couple of the things that I think could do with a little bit of tweaking on these. Now you'll notice that if you look down here, vertically down the mag, you can see there's quite a gap here between the plate and the magazine. So I felt that this plate really could do with being a bit thicker to cover the thickness of Velcro, and the way I would do it if I was designing it, and what I'm going to do to these to mod them, is I'm going to put some ribs in. I'll get some of my 4mm sheet material and put some ribs that will fit in here, so then it won't do this laterally, which is its only other problem, because there'll be a couple of 4mm thick or 6mm thick ribs that will go in here and lock into the magazine's handy ribs, and that will give you a really nice finish. So had it been printed ribbed both sides, see, ribbed is always better, children. If it had been printed ribbed both sides and had slotted itself into the magazine ribs, I feel that would have been more stable. Now the cool thing is that obviously if you want to make your magazine up the stupid way and actually have a top to bottom, you can with this kit. You can just have it however you like, and obviously it just goes together and you don't get any horrible sticky marks, and actually you can change it in the middle of a game without having to take a big roll of E-tape with you. So if you want to run that way up, you can do. Although the disadvantage about running that way is that your bottom dart is upside down. And I find I catch this dart a lot on things, especially when I'm kneeling, because of the overall length being that little bit longer than a standard box 18. And I find that I catch this on my knee and I take the bottom dart off the clip all the time. So that's why I went for the side-by-side. So you can do it that way. You can also, and I noticed one thing people have mentioned to me is obviously if you have a side-by-side and you change across, then you'll have one that'll be on the opposite side of the blaster when you've got it loaded, which will be harder to load if you're right-handed because you will have to take one hand off the trigger. So yes, you could swap to the other hand and use your right hand to load your additional darts, but you can have them round the other way, where if you are clever, you can reintegrate your magazine so that you have one facing the opposite direction. so that you have 2 in different directions like this. Now it makes reloading slightly harder. So if you have 2 in opposite directions, you do that, pull the magazine out, and then flip it, and then put it back in. And that way it always stays on your off side where you can load with your off hand. So that's quite neat, and you can't do that as easily in multiple configurations with tape because you have to keep cutting it off. The other thing about tape is that obviously it leaves a sticky residue all over your magazines, which you have to clean off. And I put, like I say, I put mine in and out of pouches a lot, and then if there's any fur on there or sticky stuff on there, they catch in the pouch, and they're just really horrible, and they get all gooey, and they have lots and lots of fluff stuck to them, and also they get adhesive onto my pouches, which is annoying. So I prefer this if I'm going to run jungle mags. I think it could be really, really great. The other thing that I've noticed that did annoy me slightly is that one strap is the right length, and this strap is really short. So it's actually quite difficult to get that tight. And obviously that's not a problem for me because I'll get my sewing machine out and I'll probably trim it somewhere here. I might just sew an extension piece on there, but still I felt that that could have been a bit better taken care of. If both straps were this length, it would not only look better because you'd have no exposed hooks, but it would also be a bit easier to fit. So if you are of lower finger strength, I would suggest that you ask for your straps long when you order this, so that you want longer straps on both sides, and then you can cut them to size depending on how easily you're able to fold that over. So if you've got smaller hands or less grip strength, that might help you. So overall, a product that actually, it's kind of one of those things that you wouldn't really think you needed. You can do this with tape and bits of Lego or a spacer or whatever you like, but I just thought it was fun and I thought I'd look at it. So a product that actually you don't need, but that could be fun. If you were putting in an order for something else, I wouldn't necessarily pay to get this shipped all over the world, but if you were putting in another order, they're relatively cheap. They work out at about $7 max for the pair, and obviously you'll lose the UK purchase tax when you order that, so it'll be a bit less than that. I think it's about $6.50 if you're in America, and they're £5 if you're in the UK, and that includes your VAT. So they're worth having if you want a system to stack your mags in a variety of different configurations without putting dirt and sticky tape all over them. Particularly useful if you've got painted magazines. Now, people are going to ask, what mags are these compatible with? I have tested them with banana mags. They're kind of weird, but they work. I have tested them with the blaster parts of banana mags. The issue with those is this strap barely goes over here, so that's another thing to think about, that longer straps would be better for compatibility with other people's magazines because the blaster parts ones are a bit bulkier. I haven't tried them with the P-mags, but I suspect that the P-mag, if you've got a short strap, the P-mag won't fit. The long strap will, because those are bulkier magazines to start with. So just be aware of that when you order them, ask for longer straps. So that's my quick review of the Blaster Smith's Flip Kit.